There's a simple beauty to the tracks in Mario Kart 64. It released the same year as the Nintendo 64, so this is super early 3D gaming for Nintendo. They were still kinda trying to figure out how to make a pleasing polygonal environment. It's interesting to see what they perceived their boundaries with the hardware to be this early on in the console's lifecycle. Let's take a look at the tracks from this game and see how they did. And of course, along the way, we'll look at a couple of cool and unusual spots. Welcome to Video Game World Tours. Luigi's Raceway is likely the first track you'll see in the game, and it's, unsurprisingly, bright and cheerful. Makes sense for a party game like this. They want you to feel good vibes right off the bat. I wonder if a kart racer has ever started off with a super moody track. That'd be a statement. Luigi's Raceway isn't much of a statement itself, it's just a generic racetrack. Though maybe I'm expecting too much out of one of the first major 3D kart racers. It's simple, it's safe. It doesn't challenge you too much visually, all you have to focus on is learning the controls. Though I do like the vibes. Bright blue sky, green grass, a pristine and well-kept track. It's idealistic. I could imagine attending this race myself on a perfect Saturday afternoon. The one thing that makes this track dip into fantasy territory is the underground section. I am admittedly not a huge racing fan myself, but I can't think of any professional races that have tunnels partway through the track. It feels like most of this course is realistic, even having fake advertisers lined up on the corners. But then it has that little bit of weirdness to remind you that it isn't completely realistic. It is a silly kart racer after all. Why not have a short, warmly lit tunnel section partway through? Who's gonna stop you? Koopa Troopa Beach is up next. You know, I feel like the track doesn't quite live up to the preview image given on the main menu. The color of the water, the sky, and the rocks are all slightly different. Though I guess this is its own vibe. It's definitely more desaturated than the course preview, but I kinda like what it's going for. Not as idealistic, but well, I don't know how to describe it. The color palette just does a lot for me. Well, there's the titular Koopa Troopa. I wonder how this got here. Is it a natural landmark? Perchance. There's a little bit of moss decorating this overhang. Helps it stick out a bit from all the other rocks in the area. And of course, there's the shortcut. It's a tiny little tunnel that cuts through the rock here. I love cozy little spots like this in racing games. It lets you out through a waterfall. This is a cute spot. A little pool of water and some palm trees surrounding it. This almost feels like an oasis in a desert. If only you weren't surrounded by the ocean on all sides. Calamari Desert is a pretty simple stage in terms of what you'll find on it. But not every video game location is about what you'll find on it. The lack of things to find could be notable itself. There is a lot of empty space on this stage. It is a desert after all. Unfortunately, you can't drive too far outside the track. Kind of a bummer. I was hoping I could at least reach those signs. Thankfully, there's a good amount of empty spots within the stage's borders to keep me entertained. Like, look at all this space between the track itself and the train tracks that run around this stage. It's just nothing. Isn't it lovely? Speaking of the train tracks, you can ride on them. I might be stupid, but I don't think riding on these is really a shortcut, so you're just cruising for vibes if you take this path. I like that they let you do a whole loop if you really want to. No death planes to speak of here. There's the tunnel, which is a treat. It's spooky in here. The walls are pitch black, plus you never know when a train is gonna come by. I mean, it's not like it matters, because there's a bunch of space on both sides of the track for you to avoid it. And even if you do want to stay on the tracks, you can outrun them easily. This isn't nearly as treacherous as the minecart track from Dragon Mines and Crash Team Racing, a video I put out not too long ago. Today's Pretzel Certified Video Game World Tour spot is a peculiar one. This is the spot where you cross the train tracks for the second and final time before finishing a lap. If you look to the left, you'll see that there's a path you can drive down. It's obviously not the intended one. I can't help but feel drawn to it though. What secrets does it hold? Yep, just a lot of sand. Here we are, end of the line. And there's no way out. I thought for sure there would be an opening on the tracks for you to cross back to the course if you somehow accidentally drove down here. But no, Nintendo was genuinely giving you the middle finger here and telling you to drive your ass all the way back. And honestly, respect. This isn't today's pretzel certified video game world tour spot though. This is. It's about halfway down the dirt path on the way here. I don't know, there's just something about it that speaks to me, the way the terrain dips down here. I'm allowed a weird pick like this every now and then, as a treat. Toad's Turnpike. Man, I'm always drawn to stages in games like this that feature urban areas. There's just something so magical about seeing Mario and his friends next to real-ass cars and street lamps. From this all the way to New Donk City and Super Mario Odyssey, I just can't get enough of it. Let me know in the comments if you want a tour of that game, by the way. I feel like I should get around to it someday. Honestly, I don't really have any spots to show off in this stage. I just have a couple of interesting observations. Like how Mario is so much smaller than these cars here. I swear, it's like I just started noticing this in every game these days. So many objects you find in game worlds are scaled weirdly, and you don't even notice it at first. But once you do notice it, you start to see it in every game. And I don't really fault the developers for it. I can't even say it's unintentional. Maybe they wanted them to be like this. Either way, it's just a fact of the game that I'm observing. And the skybox, it's beautiful. This is a weird pull, but it reminds me of that one stage in Spyro 1. I can't even remember what it's called, but I covered it in my video on the game. If I'm remembering right, it didn't even have a sunset like this one. For whatever reason, it's what my brain jumped to. One more thing. You don't start the stage on the main road, which makes sense. You'd be run over before the match even starts. Instead, you start on this little patch of road off to the side. I didn't play this game a whole lot as a kid, so I can't say for sure, but I don't think I ever noticed that. It's something I never even thought to question. Frappe Snowland is cute. I'm always down for a winter wonderland. Snowmen. Trees covered in snow. Piles and piles of snow. I guess I just love snow. I don't even really have much to talk about in this stage. I just wanted to shout it out and its aesthetic. The dark blue skybox makes it feel like it's almost night. I can imagine myself in a cabin, warming up next to a fire, looking out the window and seeing all this. It's a comforting thought. Though if I had to show off a spot in this stage, it'd be this one. There's a jump here, but you almost don't even notice that you're going over an icy river. Sneaky. Bowser's Castle, here we go. I mentioned this in my CTR video, but I love bad guy stages in kart racers. There's something special about seeing how a bad guy decorates their castle. So let's do it. Let's take a tour through Bowser's Castle. Hopefully he doesn't mind. The courtyard is the first room you come across. Not bad. Definitely a lot of space in here. Though I guess scale conveys importance, and Bowser definitely wants to feel important. As much as I tried, I couldn't burn poor little Mario here in the flame breath. Sorry guys. Oh man, an icon. Marty the Thwomp. What did he do to deserve such a punishment? For those who don't know, there were rumors going around in the early days of the internet that you could somehow free this Thwomp and unlock him as a playable character. I love the way games capture your mind so much as a child. You see something as unassuming as a Thwomp behind some bars and create this whole story around it. I mean, he seems special at first glance. He's green and he laughs at you. It feels like there should be something here. Unfortunately, there isn't. He's not green. That's just the lighting of the room he's in. And the other Thwomps in this stage laugh at you too. He's not that special compared to the others. But for whatever reason, children want to believe in the mystery. They'll look over simple explanations like that and take crazy routes around this track to try to unlock him. I mean, this video shows the bar sliding up to free him. Surely someone wouldn't just lie on the internet. I am kinda glad people like this lied though. They created some fond memories in a bunch of children out there through their harmless little hoaxes. Guess that goes to show that lying to a bunch of children on the internet is okay. A bit further into the track, there's this circular room with a lava pit at the bottom. That's kinda gruesome for a kid's party racer. If good old Mario falls off the track here, he burns alive. Wait, Nintendo actually did use that trick in New Super Mario Bros. With Bowser. You knock him into the lava and his skeleton comes up, flailing around. Up until that point it was just a joke. Like, haha, Bowser's burning alive after you defeat him. But no, genuinely, that happens in that game. Should have been raised to an E10+ if you ask me. Some silly little paintings of him in this room. I like that it looks like he's dancing. What a jolly fellow. Nothing super interesting for the rest of the stage, unfortunately. But I like what little bit of character the stage does have. You can see the building blocks that they'll build upon with later interpretations of Bowser's Castle in this series. Banshee Boardwalk. Guess it's not a surprise that they'd have a stage based around the spooky side of Mario games. This feels a lot more like the track design you'd see in the original Super Mario Kart. It's relatively flat. It kinda reminds me of those couple of stages in Pac-Man World 2 towards the end of the game, where you're running down some docks in a swamp. Not quite the same vibes, but similar enough to set something off inside my head. The main attraction of this stage is the building in the latter half. It's like they wanted to make a ghost house, but it's just kinda nothing. A couple of empty rooms and then you're out. It does have a few interesting details though. Like this large box. What is this? I genuinely have no clue. Coffin maybe? Weird. There's a fireplace too. Kinda wish it had a fire in it, even if it was a silly looking sprite. Also, this is super big. Look at Mario compared to it. He's not even bigger than the logs that you'd put in here. Yeah, that's it. Just wanted to show off this little house. Our penultimate stop is Rainbow Road. After this, we'll look at the most specialist track in the whole game. Honestly, there's not really much to say about it. It's a pretty basic recreation of the original Rainbow Road, at least aesthetically. But I don't know, I still kinda dig it. I want to show it off in my little show and tell presentation here, because I think it's cute. I like the neon light constellation things. I like the giant smiling star at this loop here. And I love the incredibly steep slope right at the beginning. Such a fun inclusion. Lovely stage. And with that, we're arriving at our final course. Do you know what it is? Do you have a guess in your head? Go on, pick one. It's Royal Raceway. It kinda tickles my fancy in the same way Luigi's Raceway does. It's idealistic. Green grass, a pink sky this time. It's so charming. There's no swamps out to get you or lava pits to fall into. It's just a normal racetrack for you to zip around. Well, I guess there is this big jump towards the end. That's a bit perilous. Ah, there it is. Of course, I couldn't talk about this game and weird spots without showing this off. It's a replica of Peach's castle from Super Mario 64. Well, the outside at least. I bet this location sparked curiosity in game worlds for a lot of kids at an early age. First of all, it's nearly impossible to miss. You see it immediately after making the jump right before it. Plus, the beige path is practically beckoning you onto it to see what details are to be found outside of the racetrack. It's hard to put myself in the mind of a kid seeing this from the first time. I bet it was genuinely so cool. I have no doubt that some kids played this in multiplayer with their friends and did a bit of role-playing in here. Or imagined what it would be like to play Super Mario 64 with each other. This is the closest you could get to playing as Mario and Luigi in that game at the time. It's not 100% accurate to the original. The trees feel too big. The waterfall is gone. And the beach area with the cannon is gone too. But I kinda like that. I like that it's not just a one-to-one recreation. It being slightly off in a couple of ways gives it character. Makes it its own, you know? If only you could drive inside the castle. That's all I got. Let me know in the comments what your favorite track in the game is. If you're going purely off aesthetics, I think Frappe Snowland is mine. I'm just a sucker for a snow level. Thanks for watching, and see you Pretizens next time.